Hello, welcome back to another episode of Xbox Infinite. It has been a huge week. Not a great week for Xbox, taking a bit of a hit. But we have a huge guest this week, and we're super excited to have him on. Unfortunately, we couldn't get on camera. The plan was to try, but I didn't. But welcome to the show, King. I really appreciate you coming on, man. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Guys, I'm waving if... yeah. You can't see me. I'm waving.
I believe you.
It has been a big week in gaming, though. There's a lot dropped. Benedict dropped. Jedi dropped. CMA blocked. But before we get into all that, Dude Cutie, welcome back. How you doing? How's your week been? What are you playing?
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome, King David. I'm very happy to have you on. Finally, we have the king in the house. Chat, you're amazing. Yes, we're live. How exciting. I know some people ask us if we're going to be live or not live. But yeah, we've been doing pretty good. Riskit's been doing a great job. This week, I don't know. I kind of came off gaming, to be honest. I took a little bit of a break, dealing with, some self-development. But I tell you what's brought me back, Jedi Survivor. Just saying, that game is fantastic. So yeah, very, very excited about that this week.
If you like that game a lot, I mean, like if you really like it, Iron Lord's podcast Sunday, we have a treat for you.
Awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you want to find any one of our guests or panel members, head down in the description. Website's there, YouTube channel's there, Twitter is there. Jedi, hang on a minute. Infinite shifted himself up. We'll go to JediKnightPete.
We're moving on up.
Oh, yeah.
JediKnightPete, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? Umbra's trying to jump the queue.
Yeah, good. Glad to be back. I've been off for a couple of weeks, so it's good to see everyone again. Wow,
Good
how
to have
good's
you
Jedi
back,
Survivor? Thank you,
Yes.
man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's so good to be back. I missed you guys, man. I
We
tried to
missed
jump
you.
in, every now and then. Last couple of weeks, I had a rough couple of weeks. I had to put my little Jedi to sleep. That's why I was off. That was like the family emergency Riskit was talking about. So it was a bit tough. But yeah, glad to be here. Let's talk gaming. Jedi Survivor, baby.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was pretty horrible. So I was sorry to hear that. That was I know you had a rough week.
You lost your pet?
Yeah, man. My little dog, Jedi.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to
I
hear
put
that.
him to sleep pretty much a week ago to the day, brother.
That is the worst feeling in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Rand lost Shakespeare on the same day I lost Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Aw, yeah.
Spoke to Rand actually
Yeah.
about that, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's never
We're
good.
here for you.
Yeah.
But people don't understand like how pets really like how protective the owner or their family. So I hate to use the word owner, of the pet is because I lost my dog and it was just like I thought the world was ending, to be honest with you. It's the weirdest feeling in the world. you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it is horrible. But we'll move on to Infinite Umbra, who tried to jump the queue unsuccessfully. How's your week
I
been?
gotta do a Pete next time when it was on my turn and he jumped in. He's like, yeah, well, and jumped in and just kept going. I'm like, oh, okay. That's what I gotta learn to do that. But
how was the fix, man? How was the show? What have you been
coming
playing?
along. Man, it's coming along. I got a bit of a headache tonight, unfortunately. By the way, everybody throw some hearts in the chat for Pete for Jedi. And
Yeah.
but yeah, man, it's been an interesting thing coming along with the fix. And King, I gotta get you on there one day, I guess, when I appear on camera, brother.
Yes, sir. There you go.
I already know what you're gonna say, so I'm like, let me throw that part in there. But yeah, we had Luke Steele on there the other day, who was an M&A lawyer, with over in the UK, and so he enlightened us to a lot of stuff that was going on over there and how he understood and saw things with this whole situation. So it was real informational, but it was a really good talk. And we're growing, man. I'm like at 900 and what, 10 maybe subscribers right now.
Oh, that's what's
So
up.
it's getting there already. I just got to get the views up and get to the 1,000. Then I could try to monetize eventually, I suppose. But other than that,
That's
I don't
the
know.
goal.
That's the goal. And I
Yes,
guess
sir.
for now, because I didn't really think like honestly, man, it's crazy to be into doing this whole podcasting thing because I never really thought I would do that. You know what I mean? I was just listening to you guys and Dealer, Rand, Colt and everybody, and I just never really thought to do it until one day, me, Riskit, and Riskit were talking in the space one day,
Spaces.
and then and I
Yeah.
met Asante and Everborn and everybody through that too, and it kind of just went from there. But no, it's been dope. It's been as they like to say, a good journey. But
Yeah.
man, that
See,
Star
man?
Wars though,
Something
I'm
good
with you
came out of
guys on that.
Spaces.
Absolutely.
So much
Yeah, I
better.
Yeah,
still
if you
wait
got the
for
right
Spaces,
people running
but-
it can be all right. If I'm running one, it's typically well done. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but yeah,
Sound like a toot.
Yeah, that did.
Toot,
It definitely
That,
did.
that did kind of sound like a woo woo.
AJH says, I would like to call out Umbra on his praise for Unreal Engine again. Another game with terrible performance. Hey, regardless of that AJH, Star Wars Jedi Survivor is phenomenal. Regardless of the little stutters and issues that I saw, like me and Pete were talking about it. I've only seen a bit of like frame rate drops. It's been spectacular otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
if
actually,
you have a really good television, that take
Mhm.
care of that though.
yeah,
true. I got the OLED, so
you're still Teflon
Yeah.
though, man. That slid right off because unfortunately, AJH, it's Unreal Engine 4.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, you thought you had me, didn't you, AJH? Yeah.
Teflon slid straight off. Well,
Teflon done.
this week I've managed to play a little, just the tiniest amounts of games. I've been flat out at work. If you guys don't know, I've been flying in and flying out of my job. That's sort of what I do. I played a little bit of Benedict, which I've got up on screen now. I played a little bit of Jedi Survivor, and I loved both. We'll get into those. But the big news of the week, obviously, which we have to jump into, and King, I'm really interested to get your take because quite often we align on stuff, which is really interesting. Now, there's sort of a lot to unpack with this, and a lot went down around the CMA. There's a lot of talk in the UK government. There's a bit of backlash in the UK government from one of the former head of the CMAs as well, with talk of completely restructuring the CMA to be more competition friendly, I believe the word was. But what I really want to get is what the panel, what King thinks is going to happen going forward. Now, I'll just lay my thoughts on the table. I think this is a bit of a blow for Microsoft. From what I've heard, Microsoft did not see this coming. Definitely, that's true. I think none of us saw this coming with the positive news that we heard coming out prior that they'd let go of Call of Duty as an issue. They did mention cloud gaming, and I didn't think that it's a big enough market for them to block a deal for, and I still believe that. I think what needs to happen going forward is if the EU backs this, and I think they'll do that with some concessions, then I think Microsoft will stick in and fight it. And there's a lot of options going forward, and there's a lot of options that people have talked about, and I know there's some people that disagree with me in the community about this, but there is an option for them to get around a fight with the CMA, and that's divestiture. If you don't know, I just wanted to explain to everyone what divestiture is because we haven't really heard about this a lot. And I know that Luke, who you had on your podcast, Infinite, doesn't really agree with this as an option. But divestiture isn't just done one way. It's logistically difficult, and it can be complicated depending on the country that you do it in. But one of the options, there's subsects of divestiture, and one of those options is a carve out. And what that basically is you carve out a section of your operation and you set it up as a new company, and it becomes a subsidiary. And basically, they're two separate legal entities. So it would no longer be Activision Blizzard. Maybe it'd be Activision Blizzard UK. And then usually, what will happen is the parent company will retain some equity, so they'll still be receiving profit from that company. But for all intents and purposes, it becomes a new company. Now, that's a definite possibility, and I see if there's I believe Microsoft will fight this at $70 billion, and the what they stand to do with ABK, I think is definitely worth the fight and investing the money in and renegotiating the deal. King, what are your thoughts on where do you see them going? What do you see in the future? And it's obviously this is not a set in stone. So much has happened. So we've made so many predictions and some true and some not. So not a set in stone, but where do you see this going from here?
I love the fact that, everybody has to, pivot and swivel and, jump around because I got a whole bunch of DMs for that Wednesday. Hey man, I'm doing this and I need you to come on because it's gonna be approved today and or the best one was are you gonna pop bottles? Because it's gonna be approved today. I'm like, okay. We'll see when it happens. And then you get the news that it was blocked. I laughed so hard because when it's money of this nature, it's never that easy. And when the stakes are this high, it's never that easy. So divestiture that's not gonna happen. Microsoft from the top down already said that that's not an option. But they were talking about Call of Duty. This isn't about Call of Duty. This is about the cloud gaming, which is like 0.12% of gaming at this moment right now, because nobody's really using the cloud as a gaming structure. They're using it for different things, and Microsoft is building a base there now. And I guess they looked over at it because I got to give it to Sovereign. Sovereign was the first one saying that they're looking in the wrong area. If they do have an argument, the argument is in cloud. And I was just like, well, as long as they keep looking at Call of Duty, everything is cool. Well, for them to just, make a pivot, friendships and brotherhood means a lot to certain people. And from the conversations that was being had, the CMA was all in. Somebody turned that around. Somewhere, the vote went the other way. And when you start to look at the practices of the opposing, it's just only one opposing group. When they start to dig into those practices, and that's when the practices have to be exposed. And they're being exposed right now. So, you have the Japanese government turning over documents to the American government about what's going on with competition in that sector. That's going to turn here. They're going to get a chance to look at the paperwork on what Sony has done in the EU. I said this before that Jim Ryan is the best person for the job, right? Because we all know now from what he has done here, how Sean Layden got tossed to the side, right? And everything that has happened. The moment that Jim got into position, he started consolidating the Japanese market and the European market and taking away, trimming the fat, right? And he made the home base Europe. This is the battleground that they're fighting at. And this is where their biggest a stronghold is. So they're not going to give this up without a fight. So what do I expect going forward? I expect Microsoft to continue to dig in if they can make headway. If the FTC comes out and they block as well, then I can see Microsoft really giving up that $3 billion and not renegotiating. If the FTC doesn't do that, then I can see Microsoft saying, all right, we're going to renegotiate, because they have to renegotiate to extend the contract. They have to do it in June, regardless to what. So, and they're going to have to pay a fee during that period of time because they thought they would close by June.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the breakup fee
yeah.
of $3 billion, right?
It's
So King, so let me ask you this then.
Right.
Microsoft thought the deal was going to go through by end of financial year. That's fine.
yes.
If you don't think divestiture, what do you think's going to happen in the UK market then? Say all goes well, and what I think is going to happen, and the EU go forward with the deal on the 24th, and then the courts take care of the American system. What do you do with the UK then, if not divestiture?
There could be concessions. that can deal just with cloud. Because if cloud is the only problem, right? And you have a lot of the big cloud people coming out, especially NVIDIA, which just released a statement. I think it's going to be concessions where it comes to cloud so they can protect the cloud base. Honestly, I believe that they're holding Microsoft back so Sony can get their cloud stuff together, could get their online gaming together, to get their multiplayer games together. And I know that sounds like, tin hat wisdom, but just think about it. This was a whole delaying tactic, and during this whole delaying tactic, Sony was going out purchasing. And they're going to continue to purchase. The head of Sony came out and said that they are raising their budget for acquisitions starting for this fiscal year by 20%. You do that on the heels of this announcement. That's grandstanding. That's boasting at its finest. Yeah, we're going to continue to acquire. And what Sony is doing, and they're doing it so strategic that it's falling under the radar. They are acquiring studios that either hasn't have a big name, haven't put out a game yet, so they don't hit the radar, and they just acquire them. They hire them to do a job. They see the job. They see that they can work in their structure. Then they acquire them, like they just did. Like what was it, Firewalk or something like that studio, whatever that studio was, and they acquire them. And they're going to acquire a bunch of little studios. And they're going to keep doing so because they have enough money to do so. If you got $5 billion, that $5 billion can continue to grow and grow and grow by buying different developers. And then you can build your stable of online ready games. And then you can start attacking the cloud in the manner that you need to. And if they go with Google, which I think they're going to go with Google, then you have because Google was the other company that was against it at one point. If they use the tech from Stadia with Sony games, then you have a fight, right? So I think this is just allowing Sony to get their ducks in a row, and they can actually fight xCloud on even plane. And somebody knows more than that they're talking about at the moment, to be honest with you.
The whole thing just seems shady and nonsensical to me. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the facts and the law, and like I said, I've talked with those people. I've talked with Luke Steele, who is a lawyer there. And you hear other people who are in the UK, they point out a lot of this just makes no sense. And the UK is just backwards now because of the whole Brexit situation. So, and because I was confused at first until I talked to Luke the other day, because I always kept wondering in my head, but I guess I never asked it out loud. Why do you have two different regulatory bodies? Why is there a CMA and the EC or the EU, whatever you want to call it? Why are there two bodies like that? And I'm like, don't they operate over the same areas until
One
they
is
broke it
government
down?
and
As
one
the
is the
Brexit?
government. Yeah.
Exactly, because the CMA is an independent body, and
Mhm.
I don't like particularly how they run what they do, because it's cool that people can claim they can't be corrupted. I don't believe that corruption can be done anywhere, but because it's how did he put it? It's citizens. I forget how he put it. I can't think of it right now, but basically, more or less, if it's an appeal process, which now Microsoft has to do, going through CAT, then that CAT system, as he explained it a few times, because I've talked with him a few times, going through the Competition Appeal Tribunal, CAT, for those who didn't know, that doesn't really mean necessarily anything, because they can say what they need to say, and the CMA can more or less go back on it and ignore what they said anyway.
Yeah, so what they normally do is they review the way that the CMA has investigated the deal, and if they're not happy with the way the investigation was done and the points that the main pressure points that they investigated, what they could do is they can go back to the CMA and say, yeah, you didn't do this correctly, your process was flawed, we're going to need you to do it again. And then the CMA is the regulator that does it again. And it's
They'll
very
correct
rare.
those things.
Yeah,
it's very rare, like you just said. And on top of that, they'll maybe add new wrinkles to the thing. This is all going to take 5 or 6 more months on top of that, if the CAT system of things approves that. but it's no guarantee one way or another. And as we know, if the EU or EC comes against Microsoft, it's over with. That's game over if they say no. So it's just the whole thing is nonsensical, but it's annoying more so than anything. But I think it speaks to because if you hear people like Jazz talk about this and other people, I've heard other people from the UK themselves. I don't want to talk like I'm speaking just from an American perspective, but people in the UK, America, we'll show you how to do corruption right.
F yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, they talk about how backward the UK is in a lot of these things and how poor and incompetent a lot of these people in power are. And I don't think that really comes from a place of fanboyism, as people might try to lean to. Because Jazz is not so far entrenched into it where he's like, oh, let it go through. He doesn't care about ABK at all, actually. So, he might care about Blizzard, I believe, but that's about it. But,
sir.
Yeah, but other than that, I think, it's been a lot of fair points made on it. I try not to go too far, and that's why I brought Luke in to kind of make me more level-headed on my thoughts on this. But, just going through it with him and talking and learning so much, it just all seems so silly. And, and now we hear the situation with Lena Khan meeting with the CMA. That seems really shady to me. Oh, well, we
The
can
whole thing is shady.
together to share
I've seen
things.
this thing out a long time ago.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
I was thinking the exact same thing. So you just said before, David, that something changed the CMA's mind. How dodgy does it look that Lena Khan met with them,
a week ago,
10 days before? I just think that stinks to high heaven. And I know that she said they didn't talk about it, but I don't believe that for a
That's a
second.
damn lie.
Yeah, and I
don't
think
believe
that
at all.
Microsoft were blindsided by this as well. I spoke to a little birdie that suggested that, for all intents and purposes, Microsoft thought that this deal was going to go through, and this
Brother, I
really
can go
took them
one
out of left
better.
field.
I can go one better. It was something that was going to be done late May, early June because of the CMA passing the deal. The fact that it happened in its manner, that's why I only laughed, because I said, damn, something went wrong at some point, because it was so many people. These dudes aren't talking just to talk, right? Just I'm gonna keep it clear. It's and I don't say people names because I don't like to single the individuals out, but it's a good 4 individuals that know exactly what they're talking about, right? And it's very rare that you get all 4 of these people wrong, because all 4 of these people have multiple sources that can collaborate the same point. If those 4 individuals have agreement thoughts for it to come to a denial and a blockage, something went wrong. And that's why I say it's high corruption, and somebody called in one hell of a favor, and it's a friend of a brother or whatever it was. And I understand that money changes hands, and sometimes you got to follow the money where the money goes, but I honestly believe it was a favor of a favor for a friend for something. Honestly.
Yeah, look, I don't I don't know about that. I'm not gonna say it's corruption, but I do know that the CMA's structure is ancient. Like, that is an ancient way to do business. It's an ancient way to regulate. And you've had, like I alluded to earlier in the show, we've had the former head of the CMA come out and say we need to build a better structure for our regulators so that we are welcoming competition in our country. And then again, I could also believe the corruption, because when you look at cloud from a top-down view, Microsoft Azure isn't even the top of the cloud providers. In gaming, they are, but they still don't have the market that that Google has, that Amazon has. I believe they're sitting second from memory. Then you've got cloud providers like NVIDIA, GeForce, as you alluded to, King, they came out and said GeForce, now another cloud gaming provider, stand to gain an even deeper catalog of games if Microsoft's acquisition of Activision is completed. We see this as a benefit to cloud gaming and hope for a positive resolution. Boosteroid backed that up. Everyone they've made a deal with, and that makes sense, right? Because they've got a deal. They stand to gain. And as it stands, it seems like Microsoft is going around and sorting out that issue by bringing all the cloud providers into the fold and making deals. And it does. You're right. It does stink a little bit. It's a very it's a small market when you compare. I think cloud gaming is 1.72 billion of 180 billion to 200 billion industry. That's
put that in a bigger perspective. Cloud gaming is only like not even 2% of the gaming market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that whole argument they used, it could grow to this. Mind you, that's speculation. That's not truth. That's not fact. Speculation is what they think it could be.
There's a couple of points.
Compare that to VR, by the way. That's all good. Compare that to VR, which is at 11 billion right now, and expected to grow to 227 billion in a few years by 2029, I think they said, or something like that, or 26. So why is that okay? And Sony is leading the way with that because they are VR at home on the console.
Because Microsoft isn't in that space.
Right, but then when Microsoft is in the space of this, we got to stop that.
But Sony is in the space.
Right, but that's my point. But Microsoft is also in the space of this, and they're conflating things. So they say, hey, the Azure situation, that's also part of the cloud. No, that's a separate thing. So you see, they're conflating
an argument.
Cloud. That's the problem I have with it too.
Let me give you an argument that kind of made sense after I dissected it, right? Microsoft handing out all these deals to everybody. I think that kind of weakened their point. I think they should have shut up. I think they really should have shut up. Because regardless to what, you're handing out all these deals to everybody. Let's say you hand it out to 20 cloud streaming people and you just, listen, 10-year deal for you, 10-year deal for you. Regardless to what, they got to pay you. Who's making the money? Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
So you're handing out these contracts to these people that's going to have to pay you for 10 years. They wasn't handing them out for free.
Yeah, but they were asked to do that. There was a war being fought on the public front end, and I agree. I think that Microsoft were a little bit too loud, but there was definitely a publicity war going on, and the FTC and the CMA started it, and Sony really elevated it, and I think Microsoft had to fire back, and I think all those things were done to alleviate some of the concerns the FTC and the CMA had. I don't really know how else they could have gone about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to add to that, literally, Microsoft was told to go to these people. So it wasn't just that they like, we're going to go to Ubitus, somebody none of us have heard. They were told that by the CMA. And that's why, like you pointed out earlier, King, like they were blindsided by everybody. Everybody was. Because they said even, you hear some of the people in the background, they didn't name who, but like people that were working on it. They said they would give off the information they required. The CMA were there basically nodding their heads along to it, like, okay, this is good, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, we did that. It was inconclusive, not good enough information, and so on and so forth. They're like, yeah, in one way, they smiled in their faces, but then after the fact, it was like, nope. So I don't know. It's a lot of confusion about this to me. And when I think things don't add up, you know what I mean? When it doesn't seem to add up logically, that's when I start to think something foul has gone on. So that's where I start to agree with you on, was there corruption or was there just blatant incompetence?
Mm-hmm.
Was it that maybe that's the better question.
Is it incompetence or is it corruption? Cutie, you were about to jump in before. Sorry, you got cut off there.
No, all good. Everyone's got something to say today, and I think it's important we all share our views, especially on something of this scale. Look, there are lots of systems within business that are archaic. And unfortunately, with technology developing as it is, these systems and the way people do business need to evolve. And I think it's really important that that is considered, especially on a level as this. It's so important to so many people. I did want to bring forward an argument about the fact is that there aren't enough regulations around cloud gaming for Microsoft to include that in their deal. And I understand the fear that people have simply because the number that they're using for their argument is simply the people who have access to cloud gaming. I don't know that many people who rely on cloud gaming for their
They
gaming
don't.
needs.
That's a great
But
point.
this is what I'm saying. So it's the number is inflated. So look, there are two sides to this. Number one, I feel like technology is developing at a pace that laws and businesses, I think they're just having a hard time catching up. But then I also think that their reaction to this is based on a number that is really inflated, because just because I have access to cloud gaming doesn't mean I use it.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point, and I've heard other people say exactly just that. Where and Post Up said it just now. That's why I said I was saying it earlier. They conflated the Azure situation and saying, "Hey, this is that," and with what Game Pass has with their MAU, and saying, "Oh, this is cloud," because they have so many subscribers already. That's 60% and 70% of the market. No, that's not what that is. And also, not everybody uses cloud like that. Even if you have Game Pass, not everybody has Game Pass Ultimate, which allows for that. So a lot of this is conflated. You can tell, to me, it seems like Microsoft went above and beyond to give them what they asked for, to acquiesce to anything they needed. And then suddenly it wasn't good enough. To me, it seems like they were always primed to turn the deal down in some fashion. That's
I
what it
think
seems
they were
like to me.
looking. I think they were looking for a loophole, and I think someone showed them that loophole very obviously. I don't know what the motivations were behind that. That's not for me to say, but I do think that this is something that they've made a big deal out of that I don't think is that much of a big deal.
You might be right
Yeah.
about that. And that goes toward the Jim Ryan thing that King was pointing out, where I agree with him that Jim Ryan is smarter in handling these types of things like this. I think he has connections in there with them. And we all know that he was all in their ears. So remember, their first initial thing was going after console with the Call of Duty thing. And mind you, that just shifted dramatically to, oh, we're just looking at cloud now. That wasn't even a part of their concern at first, cloud. Suddenly, oh, what about cloud? And if you all had been paying attention, Hogue Law and a few other people, even Luke Steele back in some time back, he pointed out if they really wanted to be smart, the CMA, and try to stop it, they would shift to cloud. And lo and behold, they shifted to cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we go from now? I think that on the 24th of May, if the EU go against the deal, I think the deal's dead. That's my personal belief. I believe that if that goes through, then the deal's still alive. But what do you think, Umbra? Do you think that if
Yeah.
the EU then goes against the deal, it's dead in the water?
It's no other way around it, Pete. Like, unfortunately, if the EU or the EC, whatever they prefer to call it, if they go against them, and mind you, both were looking positive before. Both, like the reports were, both were looking positive for the deal to go through at first. But if they go against them, it just wouldn't behoove, as I like to say here and there, Microsoft to continue going forward with this, because like King pointed out earlier, there is no divestiture that's going to happen here. They're not going to be like, oh, we're going to piecemeal buy a piece of this and that.
Yep.
They've already come out and said that they don't want just this or that. They want the whole shebang.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
there
what
is
do
no
they
getting.
do?
They're
So,
gonna have to give it
okay.
up. They're gonna have
So
to
what
give
do
them
they
that
do?
$3
Do they
billion.
just okay? So
Yeah.
say the deal goes through in the EU and the FTC, then what do they do with the UK? Do they just
Now they-
abandon that market?
No, they can't. What they can do, from what I've spoken with Luke, now it's still tricky because they're still going to have to debate that with them in the CAT, with the competitive, administration, for them to try to overturn it and appeal it. They can still keep doing that, which is probably going to take up to a year, and
Yeah.
hopefully get that turned over. But what they can do, and if they wanted to be really slick, because remember the CMA runs over certain territories while the EU runs over other territories. They could probably, honestly, move their offices and such like that from anything the CMA specifically rules over and move it to, like, I don't know, what's in the EU, maybe Ireland or something like that, and say, hey, we're going to focus our offices here, and if the CMA comes around to that, we'll go from there. They could probably be slick about it and do something like that, because they were already talking about doing something where they were having an independent arbitrator. I forgot what word. An independent party oversee the things here for the CMA, who would be answerable to them and such. So they
Well, I
could,
mean,
I guess, station it somewhere else. That's possible. They could do that.
would it be so bad to not abandon that market until that market clears up their BS? Exclude that market.
That's what I wanted
Yes.
to do, King. I really do, and I know that
I'm with
sounds
you.
really bad to the people in the UK, but it will prove a larger point that if you really want to be an area of innovation for the tech industry, then this is what can happen if you put politics and backroom deals above the benefit of the consumer. And I really do think the consumer has lost out here. Just in the
Well,
last few months, Microsoft have given the ability to game for all Activision games over to 150 new clients, 150
Yeah.
million new clients.
Mhm.
That is in itself a benefit to the consumer.
I think that number, I will continue to say this. I think that number leaped out at them, right? Because you 150 million new that new scares the hell out of people, because then you can say it can grow because they already have a base now. And I know they were told to go out and make sure that they secure these deals, and they're the instrument of their own demise at this moment, right? Going to secure these deals. And somebody put in the chat that Microsoft gets paid by sales. I don't know what metrics you're using, but if I allow you to use my IP on your service, there will be compensation for said IP on your service. Do not ever think or believe Microsoft will only get paid by units. They will be getting paid by whatever metrics that streaming service uses. They will get paid from that streaming service. This is
Mhm.
not charity, folks. This is not charity at least at all. This is literally cornering the market with this deal. This is the reason why the eyebrows went up at the CMA. But they could have put concessions in. You don't block it, outright block it.
But
They blocked it.
they have historically been not against, they've historically not liked to use remedies in any of their approvals. It's sort of a thing with the CMA, and
They need to
that
grow up.
exactly, that's where they need to sort of bring themselves into the 21st century, right? And that's why there is talk in the UK government of restructuring their regulatory system. Yeah, as well, I think a lot of something that doesn't get talked about enough is that this is a really difficult tightrope to walk. Like, Lena Khan, she gets a lot of flack from the community, and that's all deserved, 110% deserved. But for regulators, they do have to have a little bit of a crystal ball and try to look into the future about where this could go wrong. So it's not an easy job. I would 110% say that, and the regulators have a very tough job to make sure they get it right. But there's also things in place, especially with the FTC and the American regulatory boards, where if they do make a mistake, they can go back and correct that.
I've been
Yeah.
guilty. I've been guilty of telling everybody that there won't be a PlayStation 6. Right? I, I honestly believe that in my heart of hearts. I believe these consoles last 10 years, and I believe after the 10 years, there'll be apps, both of them. This deal, and I dare any Xbox fan to counter this point. This ABK deal goes through. Let's say it goes through. what position you think Microsoft is in 6 years?
Number
As
2.
far
6
as
years.
overall, as far as market share.
I'm talking, yes, from let's say the deal passed today.
6 years out.
6 years from now, from today, what position do you think Microsoft holds in the gaming space?
I think Microsoft is in such a place right now where 6 years from now they would probably still be behind Sony, being honest.
Okay.
And I say that because I look at current things going on, but things can turn dramatically. The problem is, for me, the way I see it at least, is I know this is going to be a major money move for Microsoft if it happens, right? But I don't
Right.
know how much is market share they're going to pick up because of it. Now, a lot of people are
Okay.
going to shift because of Game Pass and Call of Duty if it's on it. So you could be right. Maybe they might move up to 1. I just feel
Lem-
like they would still be behind Sony in my heart of
Let,
hearts.
let me show you really quickly how one IP changed a generation. The 360 to the PlayStation 3, Microsoft had the Call of Duty marketing. They were beating the brakes off of Sony.
True.
PlayStation 3 made bad choices price-wise and a lot of other stuff that, stepping on rakes. But it was mainly that Call of Duty thing, along with
Oh, I
Microsoft.
don't know about that, King. I got to push back against that. It was
let
a
me give it to you.
$1,000 console.
Let me give it to you. The moment Sony got that marketing for Call of Duty, and you can go back to the metrics, look at it. That's when the tide completely changed. And the fact that Microsoft stepped on their own rakes going through, putting a Connect in a box, TV, not being clear. We have a console for you. We can go on and on and on. But once they were able to market their Call of Duty like it's their own, and that started funding all of their AAA titles from the revenue that they were making, from the Call of Duty money coming in, and people switching over there because they was getting Call of Duty 2 weeks early or whatever beta that they were getting. They were jumping over there in droves. And the fact that the price of the console was $100 cheaper. Yeah, everything went along.
Also some third party deals and
yes,
JRPGs and things like that coming over that now seem to want to skip
beautiful.
Xbox. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, look,
You don't-
the PlayStation 3 started gathering momentum at the end of the generation. They
end.
started to learn how to develop for that cell architecture. The price point dropped dramatically. I think it was $1,100 or something like that
Mhm.
when it first came out. Just ridiculous pricing
Sheesh.
in Australia
other regions,
anyway. Yeah, and then the price came down considerably. Games like The Last of Us dropped. Sony started to get
Mhm.
market share back. But I think
Sony also
that,
had got the Call of Duty rights by that point too.
yeah,
Mhm.
they had, but I think it was more price point than anything else that got them back to that point where they previously were. I think that they just made too many mistakes at the start of the generation. I get that Call of Duty had a part to play in it, but I just think that it was more price point than anything else.
I think King's onto something, but in a slightly different skew. When you look at the back end of the PlayStation 3, that's when they started to bring the games that they are now known for. And those games weren't prevalent then. They weren't like a Sony staple. And they weren't really massively being produced by third party. Sony doubled down and filtered a lot of money into their game development. And by the end of their generation, that PlayStation 3 generation, because, excuse the language, but they knew they fucked up like real bad.
Mhm.
And they put the money
But
in.
where was the
did the
money
work.
coming from?
Cloud
I
gaming.
still think that the start of the Xbox One generation had better games. Had better games than the start of the PlayStation 4 generation. I mean, I just think that I don't think anyone can argue that, but Xbox had shot themselves in the foot with the TV thing with the putting Connect in there with the
Mhm.
always online, and the amount of negativity coming out of the media at that point was just absolutely crazy. They didn't actually explain the always online thing, and Don Matrick really didn't help that if you want to buy an offline console, buy the 360. I mean, who says that when you put out a brand new console? I think that there were other factors, plus that it was $100
Oh, yeah.
cheaper. I don't think the games were quite there yet, Risk. They had, yes, dropped The Last of Us, and I think
No,
they had,
no.
what,
But-
How
1887.
did they get the casual?
No, but hang on a minute. Let me just follow that up.
Yeah,
So at the
yeah.
beginning of the generation, Xbox was firing all cylinders with the 360, and they were bringing games, like good games, great games, and they were bringing a decent cadence. And they had the third-party deals to go with it because it was a more predatory Xbox back then. I love that. And then it started to twist towards the end of the generation, and then what Xbox did is, and Kay says it, and I love repeating it because he's bang on, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And they do it regularly. They came out and Don Matrix did all those things, TV, all that stuff, and it was ahead of its time. If you look back at it, the way they marketed it was poor. What they were doing was ahead of its time. It's what we have now in gaming consoles, but they didn't focus on the games, and then that gave that opportunity. PlayStation started bringing out bangers, and then PlayStation 4, they were still languishing slightly, but Microsoft stopped producing games. If they had actually started to really push their first party, it might have been a neck and neck generation, that one. It very well might have been. But PlayStation had the power narrative, and then they started in 2016, they just started to bring banger after banger after banger and bury Microsoft.
But that wouldn't have happened unless that, when Xbox announced the price point of the Xbox One, the Sony team behind the scenes were high-fiving. They knew they won the generation then and there, and regardless of the marketing deals or anything like that, that was the main point, I believe.
Well, Sony was going to release it at the
make all
same
these
price
big
point
games.
because they were going to also install the camera with it too.
The camera and
But
everything was in the box.
Yeah, they had all of that. But
DRM, they had
Yep.
all of that.
all of it until they saw Microsoft get their heads chewed off for it. Then they were like,
Yeah.
oh, look, we're not doing that. This is how you share games. All of that happened right after it.
But the thing is, what you're missing is what funded those games that changed the generation. Call of Duty funded those games. Jim is not talking out his rectum. Jim is telling you the truth. This
Yeah,
we
I
can't
can
survive
agree with
without
that.
this. We don't got nothing like this that does this. This makes this happen. Right? So everybody kept trying to figure out, how they able to throw 100 million into God of War, or how they're able to do this. Call of Duty. So yeah, the fight initially started over here, and Jim was just trying to get some type of concessions and stuff. I gotta give Attic his flowers because Attic was on it when he said, yo, I think he went in there trying to just trying to get some concessions and to figure out, like, yo, we can really block this joint.
I don't doubt that it had an effect. I just don't think the effect was as big as other things.
They won't. They are the way the company is going and the way the company was acting, just not to lose the marketing on that franchise. The level of casuals that play Call of Duty on a regular basis, like drones, like ants, that just keep flocking to it. Hey, bring it out, bro. Please. It's the same thing like Madden. It's bees to honey.
Look, you're right to an extent, and the Xbox was known, the 360 was known as a dude bro shooter. They had Halo, Gears, Call of Duty. They were firing on all cylinders. I completely understand that, and I do believe it did play a part. And I don't actually understand why Microsoft let go the marketing rights to COD. How could they allow themselves to get outbid by Sony?
Arrogance.
Knowing,
Arrogance. Yes, sir.
like what did you say, Riskit? They grabbed
Snatched
defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Yeah.
Microsoft is known for doing stupid things like that.
Yeah, they really are. And
Funny enough, both Microsoft and Sony are known for it. Like it comes down to arrogance at the end of the day. Once they get their foot on the pedal, they think, oh, we're good now. I can do this, I can do that. But the fans will determine ultimately what can and won't work for you.
Yeah, and I think this deal's derailed the generation, right? It really has, because
Yeah.
Look, and someone said in the chat, and I forget who it was, and guys, if you've got a question, I don't have monetization on because there's the US tax laws I got to deal with, and it's just I'm busy, and I don't really care that much. But I look, if you want a question, drop question in front of your question, and I'll bring it up, and we'll ask the panel and guests. But this is derailed. That there was so many studios that we were all looking at as fans, and I'm sure that Microsoft was looking at as well. And this has completely derailed that sort of expansion. I think this came off the cuff, and they believed, because we all believe, and we still believe, that it just makes sense. There's no reason that this will damage competition. I think they looked at it, they had their lawyers look at it and went, yep, this will go through, let's do it. But unfortunately, the political environment of just globally, when it comes to digital, large digital companies, big tech companies, has just stomped with stupid excuses that just don't make any sense at all. Now, I do want to jump into something I didn't put in the topics because I didn't want Umbra to have the heads up. We had a conversation behind the scenes many weeks ago. Before I get into this,
Wait a minute. Why was I targeted? Y'all hear this?
He's gonna know.
Yeah.
He's gonna know in a minute. Please hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're new here, subscribe. We go live Friday 8 p.m. EST every Friday. We had a conversation. Now, this conversation got very heated, and me and Umbra are tight. We've been tight for a long time, and we are pals, but this one got heated. And it's rare we get heated in a discussion, but I think it's because it's a passionate point. And I did want to have the discussion. I was sort of waiting for the right time, right guest, and I think King is the right guest. So I'm gonna go to King on this one. Now, I believe personally that consolidation as a whole for the industry is bad, and bad for me as a gamer. I think, and every acquisition is nuanced, and not every acquisition is the same. But what I didn't want to see is Microsoft pick up ABK and then go after 2K or go after another. I did not want to see them become the market leader by a large margin, because we've seen what happens when that happens. We're seeing it with PlayStation and how they're behaving now. They've become the market leader. We've seen it with Microsoft in the past. So what I wanted to get was, what are your thoughts on further consolidation? Say the ABK deal goes through. Where do you want to see Microsoft go? Do you want to see them take them foot off the pedal? You want to see them go after small developers? What do you see as good for the industry and good for you as a gamer?
Sorry, King, just before you go ahead, I just want to point out that what Riskit means by the right guest is somebody that agrees with him.
Hey,
Then he's not gonna like what I'm
Pete, I'm glad you heard that, Pete, because that's exactly what I took from it too.
He's not gonna like what I'm about to say.
Talk to him, King. Talk to him, King.
Because Microsoft already told you, once this deal goes through, we're not gonna take our foots off their throat. We're going to continue to consolidate and acquire and build and build and build. Once this deal goes through, I want them to go get Capcom. I want them to buy Square. I want them to buy Sega. I want them to go buy every company they can get their hands on.
Yes, sir.
I want them to go buy Sony. I wanted to be one
I didn't even go
world
that far.
gaming army. I want Sony to bend the knee. I want Jim Ryan to hand the control over. On one knee.
Stop blowing on that. Stop blowing on that. Pass it on over.
Yeah, right. Take that function out of there. Throw it in the garbage. I want total rule. And I know you're gonna say, well, man, that doesn't make any sense because they're gonna get out of control. Yeah, everything is in Game Pass. I play in Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
I want everything in Game Pass. I want everything. I don't want Street Fighter to come out and I gotta buy it. I want to go and try it. This is what my cash is for. This is what my $14 a month does.
This is why
Right?
you're a king. This is why you're a king right here. Keep going.
I'm for the squashing. I'm here for the squashing. Squash them. But also this. Everybody's forgetting what ABK was going through before Microsoft went to acquire them. We forget the atrocities that was going on at that place.
I don't forget. I
know
stopped. Yeah, I stopped playing World of Warcraft because of it. I got rid of my subscription. I was not going to support that company, but they've come back. They've come back better, and Microsoft will be good for them.
Do you see? It takes a woman to never forget. Us guys, we got goldfish memory. It was a woman that was harmed in all of this. This is how all the information comes out.
Yeah, the toxicity of that company and the way that their staff treated the females in their company, absolutely horrific. Absolutely. And you know what? The first time they mentioned something, they probably wouldn't have been believed, and it took an extreme situation for them to actually see that and actually do something. So yeah, and like I said, I wasn't going to invest my money in that. I was not going to support that.
Yeah.
So not many people know that, but yeah, I'm proud to say it.
Well, now many people do.
I had to secretly tell her behind the scenes. So you still playing at WoW, huh? Even with this all going on? She's like, "Okay, I'm going to stop." Okay.
Actually, Umbra, it's before I met you. So
I'm messing.
But yeah, look, you know what? I hope that this goes through. I want it to go through. I like value for money. I'm with King. Who doesn't? I love me some Game Pass. And I think moving forward.
Now, often King has foresight, but I don't believe in this situation.
The funny thing is, Riskit, I actually agree with you, mate. I really do. I think that there is a point where consolidation becomes too much and it breeds arrogance. And if one player is too powerful, you see negative repercussions, just like the raising of the console price in Sony's behalf, just like the raising of the price of games. I don't think either of those things would have happened if Microsoft were able to better compete this generation. I think it's worse off for consumers.
I think it would have happened regardless.
Well,
see, because we're going to forget exactly what climate that we're in right now. Financially, in the climate that we in, a lot of these companies cannot operate while we're trying to change from a cash currency to a digital currency, and what that impact implies. You don't really understand what that truly implies and what ramifications that has to big tech companies. That's in a whole nutshell. Not even going to attack that. What I'm going to attack is, and this is the reason why I want consolidation, and I'm for consolidation with Microsoft leading the helm. Their company is rated in the top 5 as best companies to work for and friendliest environments for staff. They're constantly audited and checked when it comes to mental and physical health when it comes to staff. That's very important. Because a lot of these companies, when you start to dig deep into what goes on in these companies, there's companies that have black sites. If they have these regulations that are in their home country, you can't figure out what's going on in these black sites, right? And the treatment of the workers is very, very derogatory, just to use that word, because it's something that you yourself would not put up with going to work. All right, just to understand that. But these individuals have to do this because they have to put food on their table. If Microsoft was to acquire said company and remove them from those conditions, wouldn't you be down for that? And I know we're going to say that, we fear what Microsoft might become if they continue to consolidate. But right under their very noses, we're seeing Tencent purchase little pieces of companies here, and little pieces of companies there. And then we're watching Sony under the guise of, look at what Microsoft is doing. Hold on, let me buy this, let me buy this, let me buy this, as we raise prices here.
Preach, preacher.
Allow it to be competition in the sake of competition, and allow it to pan out how it's going to pan out. Right now, of course, Game Pass is going to raise in price. And don't tell me after they acquire 5 or 6 more studios that, they're going to raise the price. Okay, they're going to do that. That's going to happen. At some point in time, Game Pass is going to be $25, right? But then you're also going to have the friends and family. Listen, we got to get to a place where going to work is a good environment. I'm just fighting for a good environment for all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want someone to go to work fearful, right? And that's what they're doing at ABK.
Yeah,
So,
look,
so
I
King, I got to
got
jump in this now. Hold on now.
I get it.
A brother got to jump in this. I guess I just want to say this really fast, and I'll let you go ahead, Risk. King, you said almost word for word, bar for bar. I'm talking about even down to the point of the better working place. Almost exactly word for word what I said to Riskit. The only thing I stopped on is him buying Sony. I didn't go that far, but as for everything else, I said almost bar for bar. Did I not, Risk it?
Yeah, it was close. Yeah.
No, it wasn't close. It was almost it's like 90, like at least 99% of what you said is what I said outside of the Sony thing.
Oh yeah, but I'm still gonna
Even-
I'm gonna refute it in a minute. But yeah, go.
You can refute it, but that doesn't make you right. I'm just simply, and it doesn't make us right. This is all thoughts. But I'm saying to you, he makes a great point, and this is the exact point I was making to you. Consolidation is going to happen no matter what you think, no matter how you feel. It's going to happen. Embracer is going to keep buying. Tencent is going to keep buying. Sony is going to keep buying. They're going to consolidate. Microsoft cannot be left out in the field not doing anything. And I would rather those companies be acquired by Microsoft as a consumer because, like King pointed out so wisely, which I also pointed out, that means I benefit from that as a Game Pass subscriber where I don't have to pay any extra cost, even if it goes up to 25. I have tons of games now, and I have family plan where, like you pointed out too, that I can also have my money split between me and a group of other friends. There is no loss there. Now, you could say, well, this could possibly happen. I'm not going off coulds. I'm not going off of maybe this might happen one day. I'm going off what it benefits me as a consumer. I'm not looking at this from some business sense of, well, that company might go under one day. I am not thinking of that. I am thinking of what benefits me as a consumer. That's what all of us in real sense are going to think of. You're not thinking of, well, if Nike, they have those sweatshops in China, you're still buying Nikes though. So my whole point of it is I'm not saying those things don't matter. I'm simply saying there are other things at play here that is not going to stop anything else. So why wouldn't I want a more ethical company like Microsoft to get them, which also benefits me as a consumer?
Yeah.
So King said almost word for word what I said.
Yeah. So I'll go back and say what I said. So look, and I'll, instead of finishing with what I said at the end, I'll lead with it. There's two inalienable truths in life, and they are factually proven time and time
Axis
again.
and death.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Every time. We've seen it every single time. This is why we have these regulators. And history repeats. And these two things have happened time and time again in the world, over and over and over. It's the reason that we have these regulatory boards. When a company becomes too powerful, they start to become anti-consumer. And they're just thinking about their wallet. And you can't blame them because they got to grow their company. Look, I understand your point of view, and I think you're thinking from a wallet point of view is more than you're thinking from a consumer point of view. And we've seen it in the past, and when you say, I'm not thinking of the ifs and the what ifs, we've seen the proof of what has happened, what they have done. Microsoft have shut down studios, Fable, Lionhead. Microsoft has been anti-consumer in the 90s. They were horrifically bad. It's a different Microsoft. They're a great company now. I work for a company that's in the top 10% of the best performing companies in the world globally for sustainability, environmental, and social governance. And I know what it is to work for a good company and a bad company. And it's a great thing. And that is an absolutely great thing. But from a consumer standpoint, if one company gets too much power, what happens? We lose the competition. And what does competition create? They're trying to get you as a consumer. We're trying to bring you in. We're trying to give you more. We're trying to give you value so that you come to our product. You come to our platform. Competition creates that. That's why we have these regulators. If one of these companies becomes too powerful, you will almost inevitably lose that. And this is the Microsoft that's like this. They're fantastic. Right now, they're great. But in 10 years, may not be the same. Phil Spencer goes. Sarah Bond takes over and she's like the ninth sister, but we didn't know. Like, you know, we don't know. We don't
He's
know.
not next, though.
We don't we don't know what's going to happen like in the future. And so I believe that regulators and regulations are really important in this space. And I don't want to see, I'm not saying I don't want to see consolidation at all. I want to see ethical consolidation. If it's going to happen, let's do it ethically and let's not give any one company too much power. And I want stuff in Game Pass as well, but I'm willing to pay as a consumer now so that later on they're not taking it out my ass.
Well, later on, you might not even be here. I want what I want now. You know the old commercial? It's my money. I want it now. That's
the devil,
me.
man.
Yeah, give me my stuff now. I'm not waiting on the future.
You're giving an argument about non-consolidation and how consolidation hurts the marketplace and hurts the consumer.
No.
Sega didn't consolidate anything.
It's nuanced. So not every consolidation is going to hurt. Like the AB consolidation, that's going to create competition. It really will. It'll be great for the market.
We live in a capitalistic society. Capitalism. It's a beautiful thing. Where the strongest survives. Rule of thumb. The strongest. If they can get stronger, then let them get stronger. Let them fight. Let them fight. If they can acquire more and get stronger, do so. Just I want it to be fair and even. He who has the most bank will win this fight. This is going to be a battle of attrition. And consolidation is necessary because a lot of this, let's think about Ninja Theory. And the reason why I'm for consolidation. Ninja Theory was going from check to check. And now they're not. Now they can make a game with the backing of a large company in a good environment and hopefully turn out some of their best work. Some of these companies are looking to be acquired and need to be acquired to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah, look, let me just respond to Truly in the chat. Truly, good friend of the show, great guy. Capitalism means the customers are always right. Vote with your wallet. And that only works when you don't, if you have options. Without options, you can't vote with your wallet. If you want that product, and that's the only supplier, the only producer that produces that product, you got to go there. And then they can charge you whatever they want. And that's why we got regulators. That's all I'm saying.
See, look, so I'm gonna answer that too. So you say that, Risk, and this thought of yours comes from the thought of, well, if they get these companies and they get so powerful, what will Sony do to compete? Sony's going to find a way to compete. Sony has some more than enough money. They have ways of getting more money by getting loans, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, as a consumer, I am not worried about their business. I'm not worried about anybody else's business but mine. And my business is what I get from Microsoft specifically. The added bonus is that they are such an ethical company, like King pointed out. That's the added bonus. So that the human side of things is taken care of with that too. So you can't be like, well, they'll just be terrible. You can assume that, but the what we've seen so far has shown the opposite. You can say, well, they'll get rid of companies, they'll consolidate, and then they'll close down a studio, and then you named one studio, Lionhead. You see what I mean? It's very, very rare that you can say that for Microsoft across the board. It happens now. Don't get me wrong, but Sony has also closed down studios.
Yeah.
So my thing is, it happens regardless. But if we are supporting them and they're getting these quality studios in here, and everybody is moving over to support this ecosystem, the whole thought of, well, they might do this one day, it's just a thought that does not make it reality. So I'm going to err on the side of what's best for me as a consumer, and that's them consolidating these companies.
History shows that if you get too much power, it causes a problem, and it causes a problem for consumers. I have to agree with Riskit. Look,
Have you seen it with Microsoft, however, though, when it comes to Game Pass?
No, we haven't, but that
There we
doesn't
go.
mean that it's not going to happen. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. There needs to be competition. Competition breeds
Yeah,
But that
innovation.
doesn't end competition. See, y'all keep saying that, but that doesn't end competition.
Yeah,
That's
uh,
one.
This
Two,
is slippery slope.
let's
it's
let
yeah,
Pete.
and you all
let's-
say, well, it happens
let's-
with these other companies. Yeah,
let's
but you
let
haven't
Pete-
seen that with Microsoft. I'm gonna let
Yeah,
him go.
yeah.
I'm just simply saying you haven't seen it with Microsoft, and you say, well, it absolutely does this. Well, you have not absolutely seen that with Microsoft just yet.
But we have.
That's what I'm saying. So y'all kind of going off of just speculation. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, speculation based on history, based on we've seen other companies do it. Now, there's no point. There's no. The gaming market is changing, and it's changing drastically. We're living in a very new age, so
Yeah.
whatever's happened in the past, it's very different now. I would rather see Microsoft consolidate more than companies like Tencent because of everything that you talked about before. But we do need to. We've only got two really powerful players in that one market now, and that needs to continue. If Sony dies, who's to say Microsoft doesn't raise prices to $100? I know that sounds a little bit far-fetched, but it could happen. It could happen because what else is there to push back against it? I think that you guys are thinking way too how it affects me
PC
and not
emulation.
looking at a broader picture.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I got to agree with that. But I mean,
Well, of course you got to agree with that because he agrees with you.
look, but look, my primitive Xbot brain wants to see Xbox stomp Sony, and I just called it Polony, stomp Sony into the dust. I would probably be celebrating in the streets, and then I would be like, oh, this is not good. If Xbox destroyed Sony and they shut down. Like, I don't want to see it, but my
They
ex,
wouldn't shut
my
them down. We just acquired them. Bring them in. We're the Borg. Be the Borg. Stop,
One of
stop trying to
us.
fight the Borg.
Riskit, Riskit, make a poll. Let's see what our audience thinks.
They're all Microsoft dudes. We're all Xbox here.
Yeah.
And I'm saying,
But see, Riskit is an
if any
Xbox
one of
dude
you
too.
guys
But
out there say
so I'm just
that
saying.
y'all not for it.
Yeah.
Unfollow me right now if you're not for consolidation. I don't care.
Yeah, look, I'm for. I'm not against consolidation, but I'm only for it where it makes sense for the market and the industry. That's my stance on it. Like, I don't think you can take every acquisition and just put it into the same basket and be like, all good. Game Pass, yes.
Look how Riskit worded that. Dude, you want to see Xbox acquire everything. You see how he tries to do. You see the slick stuff. He's so slick, man. I swear, man. This is crazy.
Still
Riskit.
70.
And you're still losing.
Yes.
You're still losing, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, because everyone's an Xbot. Love you guys.
Yeah. We all of us are Xbots, and Riskit is just above the fray, y'all. I want y'all to hear this.
Definitely above the fray. Yeah, look, I'm not secretly a pony at all. I just want I want to see him acquire responsibly and organically. Pause.
Oh Lord, please don't tell me you really think that.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
he didn't mean
He
that.
said
y'all.
organically. I want it to be
Y'all.
the most unorganic situation to ever transpire. I want Rockstar. I want everything, and I don't want it to stop. And I want you to look up and be like, well, how did this happen? Where did this happen at? I want you to come back to this Friday, and when I said, get everything, Phil. Go do it.
You know what? I'm just imagining, it's a shame we're not on camera because the drip that King David has on today really represents his stance on on these acquisitions. I'm just imagining that big old chain dangling around like, yes, I want everything. I love Game Pass.
You know,
Yes, Microsoft.
Yeah,
and I'm
you
reasonable
guys say
with
that
mine. Like,
until
I don't
they're
want
charging
every
$100 a
single.
game.
Yeah.
I don't think they. Well, that's what they charge you guys now. You all live with it. No, but seriously,
We already pay so much for games.
I know, right? No, but seriously, I don't want every single thing. Like, I don't want them, for instance, to get EA, for instance, right? I don't want them getting everything, but I want them to get a lot of people. It's a lot of studios I would love for them to get, a lot of publishers I would love.
I think Microsoft and Xbox are they're getting their glow up. This is their time, and I think not everything, but I would like whatever's on their wish list. I think would be okay by me. Simply,
So
pardon?
Cutie, you're on our side then, right?
I don't think everything, but I don't.
Oh yeah, I don't
look,
want everything now. I just want them to get a lot.
but
We
I
saw it
do.
with the PlayStation 3 generation. When PlayStation thought they owned the gaming market after PlayStation 2 was incredibly successful, they came out with the PlayStation 3, which was massively overpriced. They put this ridiculous architecture in it. Yeah, and it was massively overpriced. It was a great
No, it
console
wasn't.
eventually.
It had a Blu-ray in the box.
No, come on, man. That cell architecture
It had
was
a whole
just
Blu-ray in the box.
stupid.
It had a
And
PlayStation
it
2,
took-
a whole
and it
PlayStation
took-
2 in there.
And it took Microsoft making the internal structure of
The machine that was breaking on people.
That's the 360, much more like a PC, which made Sony shift focus, move away from that cell architecture and move to that X64 architecture, which we all know in gaming today.
Listen,
And if you only have one company, you lose that competitiveness.
we got Blu-rays to this day because of that box. If they decided not to put that stupid PlayStation 2 in there so you can have true back compat, then that system wouldn't have been that much.
I think Blu-ray would have won out in the end against what was
It had
the
porn.
HD DVD because it had 50 gigabytes and I think the other only one
It
had
had
20.
porn.
So yeah, or 40. So I think it was the better technology usually wins out at the end of the day. Yes, Sony had a power play with Blu-ray, but I do think that they had the better product at the end of the day as well.
Is that why the PlayStation 5's winning? Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Oh dear. Look, I've got 4K movies that I do play on my PlayStation 5 because I don't want to buy another box to play that.
I haven't watched a movie or anything on my consoles.
Never once.
Oh,
I mean, I watch
Really?
digital stuff anyway, so.
Yeah. Blu-ray's dead.
Um,
Look,
Same.
I did want to get everyone's views on this, and I think we sort of covered it, and we're going to agree to disagree. But I'm sure that this will
well,
go.
most agree with us. I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
me, King, and Cutie, she's kind of straggling along, but me and King mostly. Yeah.
the chat agrees with you as well.
Okay, so
yeah.
you and King and me and Riskit, and then you just lump Cutie in with you guys. No other reason. Wow. Okay.
Look, I have to say the poll doesn't count because there's 99 people in the chat, and there's only 45 votes. So I will wait to close it.
Those are the 45 people that count.
Hey, everybody, do me a favor and vote on that really quick for us.
Yeah.
All right? 'Cause we want to make sure that this is, they understand that we're all on myself and King's side. He has to know this.
Hit that no button.
Oh my days.
Hit that no button.
Once this happens and they see who they purchase next, I'm just gonna every time I'm just gonna at you on Twitter and with eyeballs, with eyeballs.
You see this?
And I'm like, another one.
I like it. Yeah.
Look, while you're hitting that no button for me over there, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We go live every Friday EST. There's a couple more things we want to talk about. It's two things that I really want to talk about right now, and we are pushing, I believe, an hour and a half here. So I want to move on to the next topic, which is
you saw what I wrote, right?
yeah. No, I didn't see what you wrote. Where did I see what you wrote? You're in the wrong chat.
DMs on Twitter.
Ah, Twitter. Gotcha.
I wrote it on here too in the guest chat.
Yeah, roger that, man. We got to let you go. We got to let King go. He's going to get to work. The man's a workhorse. He hasn't even slept, and he's going straight back to work. This is crazy, man.
That's what happens. Yeah, that's life.
Energy.
That's what happens when you own your own company. You got to do what you got to do. No sleep ever. So,
Exactly. No rest for the wicked. Man.
The energy of kings.
I want to consolidate.
Look,
listen,
man,
it was great, guys.
Man, it was great having you. We're happy to have you to have joined us.
I love the conversation. I love the individuals here. Like, follow, subscribe, share it out to a friend. They should have more people watching, especially on a Friday night, because none of y'all are doing anything outside anyway. So stop playing around and just share it out to your friends and just watch, and stop acting like you're gonna watch it tomorrow or after your great night or whatever you were doing anyway.
Look, if you want, King, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Long time coming, man. Next time we have you back, we will have a camera ready to go. I'm going to set up a King overlay. It's going to be for King David only, no one else. And look, if you do want to find King, all of his links are in the description down there, man. And again, look, dude, we really appreciate having you on. I'm not going to lie. Normally we align, but we didn't on this one.
No, listen, when I told you, you're going to start seeing the tweets, and I'm just going to say another one every time they acquire somebody. I'm pretty much know a couple of people they really wanted, and because of this stupid deal that's been like log jamming everything up, people just been buying stuff. You know, shout out to Embracer for getting a come up off of something that Microsoft wanted. So
yeah, I was devastated.
That's the only thing that has kind of upset me because of this whole ABK thing. We've just Microsoft has kind of missed out on grabbing these other studios and publishers.
Yeah. So catch y'all later, guys.
All
It
right.
was great.
Hey, King.
All
Thanks
right,
so
brother.
much,
Thank you for
bro. I had a
joining
lot
us.
of
Thank
fun, man.
you. See ya.
All right. Well, look,
And then there were 4.
we got to talk about the 2 games that dropped this weekend. Look, I feel like I might be the only one in the panel that really put even a schmuckten. I love saying schmuckten. Maybe that's my new word.
Is that a word?
We'll get rid of caveat.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
I'm
that
pretty
word.
sure it's Yiddish. I've played
okay,
I've played a schmuckten of Benedict Arnold's Cumberbatch with the the last case. It was, look, honestly, this is my thoughts on that. It's the movement's fluid. The jumping is a bit weird, right? So it feels sticky if you want to flick back the other way. You can't do that. So you've got to commit to your jump. I sort of don't like that about it. It's not very fluid in air. On ground, it's fluid. Combat seems responsive, but a little
Kind of simple.
limited. Yeah, limited would be the word. And then the shooting, not 110% on it. But look, I will say we had a developer on the show who developed, forgot the name of the game. Is it the Axe game that we played, where they had the Lord of the Rings
Song of Iron.
Song of Iron.
Joe.
Yeah, it's a more fluid Song of Iron. It feels like to me. It's beautiful. It's colorful. I definitely will spend I think I'll finish this game. I'll spend a lot of time in it. It's great that it came to Game Pass. I have been the social media team actually lives in Perth, so I got a chance to talk to them in the background about some of the marketing. Because I was a bit disappointed around the marketing for this game, and it feels like basically what I was told is that with so many AAAs coming and so much on the horizon for Microsoft, it's very likely that you'll see them focus more on their own AAAs and their third-party deals that they bring to Game Pass. And I think that's a little sad. I think they should celebrate publicly a little bit more the third-party deals that they make. There's been some really strange drops into Game Pass that really weren't pushed. I do think they give more flowers to the AAA, and I understand that. But I also would like to see them put, and they do a good job with any of the best in the industry, but I would like to see them do a little bit more. Pete, I know you played Benedict Cumberbatch's Avocado. What were your thoughts on the game?
I'm going to say I haven't played much. I started it up at 4 a.m. I think it dropped at 2 a.m. I had to download it. I loved the opening cutscene, that World War I vibe. It looked, like that old 1950s TV. But then when you get into the game, the neon just shines. I love the art style. I think the gameplay feels solid, the double jumping, the blocking, all that kind of stuff. But I just haven't put enough time into it. It scared me a little bit because when you get into the house, you're picking up a million different objects. You've got to use them in a multitude of different ways. And Jedi Survivor came out, and you guys know me, I'm pretty much going to put that above everything else. But I'll definitely go back to it. I agree, Riz. They need to advertise these third-party deals more. This is a beautiful looking game, and I think a lot of people will get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So don't sleep on this game. If you're not going to play Jedi Survivor, what's wrong with you? Play Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did get a chance to play Survivor, and we'll jump onto that in a minute. But I know, Umbra, that you did definitely play a little bit of Benedict Fox's Red Carrots. What did you think of it?
Man, I like it a lot. Visually, it's as gorgeous as we all saw, from the gameplay clips and things like that. I'm with you, Riskit. I think that the jumping is odd. It's a little awkward. You feel it should be a bit more fluid as far as how you can move, and you kind of want that when you play Metroidvanias, So if you played any of the, the Metroid or Ori and all of that, you have more freedom in how you jump, and that matters because there's so many different ledges and things like that that are tricky to land on properly. So that makes it tricky. There's been a few times where I just didn't grab the ledge when I jumped over something, you know. Also, I will say the combat is, like you said, I guess simple, kind of simplified. So you have your block with the RB, you have your gun you could use, with LB and X, and you have just a basic combat with X. To me, it's just really simplified, and I figured that they would have a little bit more. So I guess I was slightly disappointed by that. But that's fine. You know what I mean? I'm not mad at that you're in is really engrossing, like Pete pointed out. And even when you go into that, what was that? I forgot what they called it. When you went into this, I don't want to say nothing, so I'll spoil it. But basically went into this inkish world, I guess you could say, because you collect ink, as they called it. I liked how the different colors interplayed into things like that, and it does have a creepy vibe to it and everything. Even when you're at the mansion and things like that, I like that. You can see that it's definitely a Metroidvania through and through. So you have to collect all these different things, find a way to open these doors and such, and puzzles. So I like all of that, and I'm a big fan of Metroidvanias in general. But this game right here, as I was saying to Bushida earlier, it's something where you're gonna have to kind of sit there and play. For me, it's tough to do that right now because I'm trying to get through Ghostwire Tokyo. I have to get back to Dead Space. I have Metal Gear Rising Revengeance I wanted to finish. Now, of course, I have Jedi Survivor, which, like Pete said, that took everything else out. Because the more I played that, the more I was like, I don't want you guys anymore. So, it threw them away like they were old toys. So it's tough, honestly, to say just yet to give it a full thought. But it's one of those games I think you're going to have to kind of really, divulge your time to, I say. Because right now I don't have a big enough feeling for it. I put about 2 hours into it. And while I thought it was good, I just wasn't blown away as I thought I would be initially when they showed us at the showcase last year. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. One thing I don't think we've mentioned, though, and Cutie, I'm curious as to whether you played it, because I actually didn't ask you before the show, like a good host that I should have. But one thing that was, I know it took Pete by surprise, and I wasn't sure how it was going to blend this into the game, but it's a detective game at the same time. So there's a lot of puzzles in there. From what I can tell, it doesn't hold your hand with those. So it's going to be very interesting getting deeper into that sort of detective side of it. That's I think where they've sort of leaned on the game. I hope it does well because I already want to see a number 2. Cutie, did you get a chance to check it out?
I actually haven't, but I have seen obviously the gameplay. I do like the art style. It does look interesting, but I guess I hope that it's not too challenging so that people, give up on it, because it is competing with, the likes of, Star Wars. So hopefully, people give it a chance since it is on Game Pass. And I will give it a go. I've honestly run out of room on my Series S. So
Yeah, which is
There's
not
a ton
hard
of
to do.
games too. I mean, we got a Redfall coming next week or so.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
just about.
Ton of games.
and Riskit, you did say, like, obviously the marketing behind this game wasn't that big, but it's competing with some big dogs out there. So yeah, but hopefully, through our own social medias, through this podcast, we can highlight some games that maybe don't get the time that they deserve in the
In the
PR.
sun. Yeah, and I've done that as much as I can on Twitter, and I'll probably continue to do it here. If I enjoy the game, I'm never going to cap for something that I don't. But so far, I'm liking where it's going, and I want to see a little bit more depth of the combat. And I have watched a couple of in-depth deep dives from the developers, and apparently the combat evolves over time. So if that's the case, I think I'll be pretty happy with the game. But we will see. what happens going into the future. But the big one that obviously dropped this week, which is playing on the screen right now, in a continuous loop, is Jedi Survivor. Now, look, I had a look at these the scores sort of coming into the game. I was always going to buy it. I was never going to miss this game. The first one was absolutely amazing. You look at it, it's getting 10 out of 10s, 9.5s, 9.4s, 9.3s, 8s, 1.7. After playing, I think, around about an hour and a half, I would give it at best a 3. It's terrible. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, what? Is it because you were kind of getting your ass handed to you by those droids? I saw you die. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, no, this is just Jedi Fallen Order expanded, which is what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. The only thing I'm not happy with, and I really can't even make a judgment, is the twin-bladed lightsaber. Not twin-bladed, sorry, the staff lightsaber. I don't even know how you would say that, but it seems limiting. I know it's a crowd control weapon, so you'll probably always have it equipped for those moments, but it seems very limited. It doesn't feel. I just don't like it. I wasn't a big fan. The single-bladed combat was great. I haven't got the twin blades yet. And I definitely haven't got the blaster. I don't know if you guys know that there's a blaster and a lightsaber stance.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
The only reason I know it's a blaster is because I saw the achievement thing show it. That spoiled it for me on my Xbox.
And there's a broadsword as well, which I'm really keen to see what that is, like a longsword.
Broadsword.
Yeah, a longsword. So it's like
Really?
like Kylo Ren's setup, but it's a little bit longer. Kylo's.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is a tall boy.
So I'm really keen to dive into it and really, and this is what I'll be doing probably for the next week minimum. Everything's going by the wayside. It's great. The story's setting up to be good. Apparently, it goes a little bit off track, but pulls itself back in. I'm down. All the reviews are positive. Umbra, what were your thoughts on Jedi Survivor? You think it's going to be the one for the next week, minimum 2? Yeah. What do you think?
Without question, man. I'm gonna be on this thing like white on rice. I've tried to even like maybe I should just put it to the side and get back to Ghostwire and finish that up. I see other people finishing, and I'm like, I need to finish it. I'm toward the end. Man, that game is gonna wait. This game right here, it's something to be said about. For one, I want to give Respawn their love. I know they're getting a lot of shade right now because of how the game has been having technical issues on the PC side of things. I'm not having those issues really on the Xbox side. And like me and Pete talked about earlier, before the show started in the green room, we pointed out that on the worst we've seen has been a bit frame rate drop here and there, and typically centered around the cutscenes. Other than that, man, it's been solid for me. And now I know that it also does matter if you have a solid VRR enabled TV. So I have an OLED, so that has helped it for me, I suppose. Because I remember past games where people were like, oh, you didn't have this issue, this happened, this technical. No, not for me on my TV. It didn't cause that because it smooths those things out for me. So no, I didn't. And I'm not having any here really outside of the small frame rate drops here and there, or dips, or whatever you want to call it. Other than that, man, you load into this game and Respawn, you know what I mean? They capture the essence of Star Wars so well. You're looking out into the sun, into the city of Coruscant, and you're just like, man, I'm back in this. And the music takes over. The visuals are gorgeous. It's on that Unreal Engine 4, of course. I have to shout that out, AJH. I have to say it. It's just beautiful all around. And then you see the story start to play out, and you see the enemies and so on and so forth. And the combat is solid, despite Riskit's inability to properly kill these enemies. He's in the cuts and the footage you all are looking at. It is dope. It is really solid. And you're talking about the double-bladed lightsaber wrist. The point with that too is that it's one of those things, like in any good game mechanic is like that when games like this where you have to build yourself up. So you're going to get better abilities with the double-bladed lightsaber. We're just going to make it much more welcoming for you. So just once you once you level that up, that's when you're going to see that open up more for you, I would say. Because that's how it was for in the first game. It was kind of like that, where you couldn't do as much. But then once you start being able to buy abilities, you were like, oh man, oh no, this is how this feels right. That's what it's going to do. But man, I'm maybe 2 hours and a half myself into it. Cannot wait for the podcast to end. I hate to say it that way, because I want to jump back into it right now. I'm tempted to pull a Bushido and start clicking these buttons. I mute myself, and y'all be like, Umbra? I'm like, click, 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 click. You know, I was tempted for all this time, but we had some real engaging discussions. So, and it wouldn't be right to do that to you all. But man, this game automatically hooked me, and I think that's something to be said about how great of a franchise Star Wars is, and how great, you know, like I said, Respawn is. They know what they're doing here, and you can see it's in good hands. They just have to get those technical things ironed out.
And you're absolutely right. They really do capture a Star Wars game. And watching Skill Up, he made a very, very good point. If you don't know, I'm a big fan of Skill Up. Shout out to him if he ever watches the show, which I'm pretty sure he never will. He mentioned that. I've lost my point because I'm watching my gameplay. My gameplay's fine, actually. Just I wanted to.
Well, when you're walking around handcuffed, sure. I mean,
I'm doing exactly how everyone else did it. That's but but the
even then you ran into the wall part right here when you should be walking up the steps. See that?
But I'm searching everything. I'm looking. At a time when like we had I think the first one came out at the back end of the last three movies, which I will say are the best three movies of the entire series. And they came out to middling reviews. That's a joke, by the way. They came out to middling reviews, and we weren't thinking great things for Star Wars. And the first one came out, just captured Star Wars perfectly. And I really think that this one is going to do exactly the same. It just captures the world perfectly. I'm hoping the story is as good, because the story in the first one was awesome. Really enjoyed that part of it as well. There were a few issues. I don't know if they've ironed that out, but we'll see. Obviously, we'll talk about the PC in a minute when we go to Cutie, because we know that she's a PC shill. But Jedi, what are your thoughts so far, man? Is it floating your boat?
I love this game. Yeah, I mean, I was expecting to like it, and I just replayed Fallen Order just to get back into the swing of things, remember the story. This game just elevates it in every level. The first thing that I noticed is just the level of detail that they have, especially the textures of clothes, the different, materials, metal, the amount of customization you have on your lightsaber, your clothing, BD1, just amazing. They've also pulled in the field of view, and you feel very, very close to the action. I was talking to you yesterday, Riskit. I think it feels very God of War-like, where they've pulled the action in. Everything feels a lot tighter, a lot more fluid, and not that. That translates to the traversal as well. The game looks absolutely beautiful. Respawn should be commended on the job they've done, especially on console. I know that there's a lot of issues on PC, and look, there's issues on console as well. One of the opening cutscenes, the frames do drop considerably. You do notice it quite a lot. So it's not perfect. I've only gotten to the first major planet. I've got off Coruscant, gone to the first major planet. Since I've got there, the frame rate drops seem to be a lot better. I'm loving everything about this game. I was a bit shitty about one thing. I wanted to play like Obi-Wan. I wanted to play single-bladed lightsaber, but as soon as I started playing with those dual lightsabers, and even as the staff, they just feel so much better, and so I'm a bit shitty that I'm not able to live my Obi-Wan dreams and just play with a single-bladed lightsaber. But the game's amazing. Everybody has to try it out. Game of the year for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, coming back into it, someone mentioned the chat. Palpatine said he didn't call for the fighting because it was a bit clunky. There was a little bit of clunkiness to it, and that's true. And that still exists here. And I think once you get into the swing of it, though, you really do feel like a Jedi. It gives you that feeling. And there's more impact on these hits with the lightsaber. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but Pete said it last night as well. And that's one of the things that I noticed going into it, is it really does have that impact. I don't feel God of War with it. The camera's not as static or as close. But I have heard quite a few people say that. So, that's, I guess, we can agree to disagree. Sorry, I just found the
The soundboard.
I just found the soundboard.
You just use it out of nowhere.
That thing is going to be getting a run next week. I'm going to be adding some sounds. It's going to be fun.
Dear.
But look, we've got a cutie, and look, I know that the PC performance has been bad. And one thing I wanted to shout out is I am playing on a VR display at the moment. However, my main TV, which I'll play a lot of it on, doesn't. And so I'm really curious to see what the frame drops are like on that TV. I will report back next week and let you guys know my thoughts on that. But Cutie, what are your thoughts so far on the game?
Oh, it's lovely. I've been playing on my Xbox though, not on my PC. Thank you. And yeah, no, fantastic. Look, this story is beloved by many fans of this franchise who play games. So, I hope it. If people haven't jumped into the Star Wars games, I hope that they jump into this one because it's quite good. I will say you don't have to have played the first one to play this, so don't worry. But I can imagine that when you play this, you'll want to jump into the first one. Yes, very, very good. Unfortunately, yes. So there have been a percentage of PC players that are experiencing a lot of frame drops with their high-end machines, especially. And I think simply it's because this was made in Unreal Engine 4. And, it did take quite a long time to make. And, obviously there's not one solid fix because of the different configurations that people have in their PCs, and it does require thorough testing before they release these patches. So hopefully they get it under control soon. But yeah, look, it happens.
Yeah, and I will say that some people have called this out. I believe it was Pixelbit G was in the chat before, and he did call out that the reviews were sort of disregarding the poor performance issues, and I agree with him. I don't think that should ever be a thing. But if it is a thing at your site, and that's your major outlet, I think Mr. Joanna Dark's asking about it now, so I'll go to his question immediately after I say this. If that is your thing, just be consistent, I think. So if you're reviewing Redfall in the next couple of days and you wanted a 60 performance mode, I think you should review it as it is. If that's what you're going to do, be consistent. If you're going to review a game and take performance into account, then continue to do that, and that's fine. I think it's the lack of consistency that is the issue. But Mr. Joanna Dark asked the question. He said, with some major outlets and reviewers overlooking the game's performance and needing work, why do many games get passes and others don't when it comes to reviews?
Can I just jump in on this one? I don't think people were given PC keys for this. I think they were only given console. So, and the thing is, when people are reviewing the game, they're reviewing it on that.
I hate to do this, but
what?
I don't think you hate it. I don't think you hated doing that.
I just saw on your gameplay that you changed it to wider. I think it feels a lot more God of War if you just leave it on default. I think the wider you have it, the more further away from the action.
I was scared did that sound.
I put it back to the default. The default is wider.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's I opened it up to have a look, and then I was like, nah, this doesn't feel right. I've got a widescreen monitor, and it still didn't feel right on that. Why did I do that sound, Cutie? I would love to answer that question. That's because they did give out PC keys.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they did. But what I'm saying is those reviews are.
Sorry, Cutie.
No, that's okay. The review is within the scope of what they played it on.
Yes.
And if they didn't play it on a high-end, super duper high-end machine, then they probably wouldn't have experienced the bugs that people have experienced.
Yeah.
I've heard that you can't even get 60 on a 4090. I would go as far as to say that if you are going to play this game on a PC, wait, don't play it now. Don't ruin the experience for you. It's too good a game for that. They haven't put out the day one patch. No, they have put out the day one patch. It hasn't really solved the issues. I was watching somebody play it on Twitch before. Their rig isn't fantastic, but it's good enough to play most games, and the frame rate it pretty much made the game unplayable. So unfortunately, I would wait. Play Benedict Fox, guys. It's a great game. Wait for this to get a patch. Don't ruin the experience for yourselves.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'd
I don't
also
think it makes
say
the game unplayable though.
on PC, it's definitely unplayable currently. Yeah.
Well, I haven't played it on PC, so
Yeah. So like
I'm
it's
not sure.
dropping. Apparently, it's dropping below 30 frames on 4090s. So that's
wow.
that's
Okay, yeah.
ridiculous. But Gamerant gave it a 70, and Gamers RD gave it a 50. I don't believe he even cited. Yeah, he didn't cite the. Oh, he did. He cited optimization. So on PC, it's sitting at 70. I believe 79. Have I got that right? Let me go back one because that's
You
not
and I
right.
both love Skill Up, and Skill Up said he cannot recommend this game right now on PC.
Yeah. So 79 on PC and 87 on the Xbox Series
Okay.
X. And I'm not sure what it is on the PS5, but it's sitting in the high 80s for console, and it's sitting, in the 70s for PC, and that sort of gives you an idea. And I would say to you, Mr. Joanna Dark, that's sort of
86 on PS5, just to say.
it does say
Yeah.
to me that there is obviously reviewers out there, and I believe you should, taking performance into account, and they really should, because they should be held to account. I think that games should stop releasing broken. Simple as that. If it's broken, don't
Mr.
release
Joanna
it.
Dark, it is dropping frames on console as well. I've got a VRR screen, so it does offset a lot of it. It feels smooth enough to me right now. I'm only on the first planet. I was speaking to USO Vinny yesterday, and he's a little bit further on. He actually switched it to quality mode because his frame drops were getting a lot less further on when in the planet. So it's going to be a wait and see for me. But so
Pete,
far,
what
it's
are
been
you playing it
great.
on? About it? I forgot to ask that.
I'm planning on performance, bro. I'll play everything on performance. Man.
Okay.
Yeah, if
I'm playing
performance
on
is there, I'll always-
quality. Maybe
You-
that's why I didn't have as many issues like that too.
Mm.
You
I
are
didn't,
not.
I didn't think about that.
You are not playing on quality.
Yeah, I'm playing on quality.
You're playing 30
Quality
FPS.
mode. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. Now I have to switch it to see and test that out. I didn't even think about it. I just played it just to get into it.
I will say though, when I have, I didn't get this game before it came out, but I do know that in some NDA contracts it does say, this game will get a day one patch, this, or whatever it says, to tell the reviewer that, report the things that you see if they're, game breaking. But to keep that in mind when you are doing the review. So I don't think people are ignoring it. I think it's just the culture of technology, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Skill Up was really good. I mean, I highly recommend Skill Up for reviews. He's the guy I usually go to because he's usually very thorough. What he said is he played the first two patches, which they patched prior to the game's releasing. After the game releasing, which is why his review was just a touch late than everyone else's, he went through and played again to see if that day one patch had made much of a difference. And he said that they really didn't fix anything. So and day one patches often do fix the problems completely, and they're all good to go. And then often they don't. I think publishers and developers need to just stop releasing broken games. It's just don't do it. Like if it's not ready to go, don't release the damn game. And I know I had a crack on about Starfield, but I mean that's mainly because of the missing the 12 months. But I would prefer you missed something that you said. I would prefer that they just shut up, but I prefer they miss something that they said than release a broken game. So I mean, the same goes for Starfield. If they get to that point and it's just not ready, don't release the game. Just get it done. When it's ready, release it. That's the way that they should be operating. And by now, gamers have complained enough. They should know better. And especially off the back of that horrific, absolutely horrific Last of Us release. And I know some people are comparing at the moment. And I don't think that's I don't think it's comparable, frankly. And
Emotional damage.
I'm just gonna.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna put something up on screen here because I want everyone to remember that this is just not the same. There's some things that are different, and I think this is just one of them. So yeah. you can't compare Jedi to Last of Us because I haven't seen any crudes in Jedi.
I don't know if you I don't know if you
Oh,
saw
God.
in the chat, but I shared something out on Twitter yesterday about Forza Motorsport and their blind driving assists. I don't know if oh God, you've actually put it up. Their blind driving assists for their new game. And honestly, I am amazed. I just wanted to talk about something positive because did you guys see that video?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about Jedi Survivor, mostly positive. We just talked about Benedict Cumberbatch's Fox. That was mostly positive. So, yeah, yay for me.
I did see it, Cutie. Amazing. Great work by Turn 10 Studios. They should be commended on the accessibility options that they've had. Look, in saying that, if you have a look at the accessibility options in Jedi Survivor, they're quite extensive as well. The colorblind options that they have are numerous. You could basically change the colors to anything you want for people that are colorblind.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Pretty dope.
it is
It's
really
good
good.
to see it like this. Yeah, a lot of accessibility options like this is dope, and I got to give them credit. But Naughty Dog leads the pack when it comes to that. So it's good to see that Microsoft continues pushing it with their I guess peripherals and also in the games now with Turn 10 doing this. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he could. I was just amazed that he could drive the car without even looking, just through the sounds, and I was like, "That is so genius." Like
You
you
know what
would.
they got to do, Cutie? They got to get Stevie Wonder. That'll be excellent marketing right there. Get Stevie Wonder and have him start
Is he
driving.
a car
I just
enthusiast?
I just
don't know.
crashed into the wall, and I don't know.
I just
Yeah.
drove into
You just
the
wanted to sing, right?
sidewalk. You already know me too well.
Look, we are coming to the end of the show, so
Oh gosh, take that away from him.
that is the horn. Look, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. We had some absolutely fantastic conversations today. Like was a great one. I have been holding that one under the hat. I did want to have it. I didn't really know where King sat, to be honest. But I know that he's a thoughtful, intelligent man, and he's probably one to have it with. I disagree with his view, but it was he made some great points, and I love hearing that sort of stuff. And yeah, obviously the CMA is disappointing, but it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes, and at least Destin's channel won't collapse under the weight of lack of news. So Cutie, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. Sorry, Destin, if you do watch this, I was just kidding around. Cutie, it's been an absolutely fantastic show. Please let the people know what you'll be up to, what you'll be playing, and where they can find you down below in the chat, in the description.
Thanks, Riskit. And yeah, definitely get that soundboard going. I know we give you crap for it, but it's quite fun. Thank you so much, chat. You've been awesome. Yeah, it was some great discussions today. Big news, some big opinions as well. But always really great, and so glad to have you back, Pete. Really, really good. They're big shoes to fill, and I think Garuda did all right. You did a good job for you. So,
Amazing. Yeah.
but I'm glad that we're back together. For me this week, oh gosh, guys, I've been feeling super down. So I don't know. I don't really feel like streaming very much. I don't know. So I'll see how I feel throughout the week. But I did an interview with some developers from World of Warcraft. So yeah, I will be getting that out over the weekend, which is cool if you're into that. I know you guys aren't. But yeah, no, always a good show. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter, DoomCutie with an underscore at the end. And yeah, I'll probably be getting into Jedi Survivor if I do feel the vibe to game. But yeah, great show. Thanks again.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic show. And it's great to have you, Cutie, every week. Jedi Knight, welcome back. Obviously, off the back of some really shitty news, man. But you're back, and it is great to have you back. So it was another great week. Please let the people know what you'd be up to, what your plans are for the week, even though I'm pretty sure I know what they are, and what you'd be playing, even though I'm pretty sure I know what that is.
Yeah, everyone can just leave me alone because I'll be playing Jedi Survivor on Xbox and I'm going to be hiding. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for the well wishes that I've got over the last 2 weeks. It really did mean a lot. Jedi blessed my life for the 12 years that I had him. He was my best friend and I miss him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I literally, I've only had to do it twice, and it was on the same day, and I was devastated. And I love my dog, Chewy. And yeah, I couldn't possibly imagine. So thoughts, obviously, with you, man. Infinite Umbra, another fantastic week. Let the people know where they can find you. Tell them about your show, which is linked down in the description, as is everyone's links. Head down there and click a follow, give a like. Let them know what you're up to, what you got planned for this week. How are things going over
Well,
there on the fix?
everything is going. We're getting there. You know, I'm trying to limit the time. We hit like 2:19 the other day, but it was such a good discussion. I couldn't
Mhm.
kind of cut them off. But yeah, man, it's going. I'm trying to limit it though. I want to get it down to like an hour and a half, if not an hour. You know, I don't want it to be a full blown 2 hour thing. But maybe 2 hours might be the thing I need to stick to. I don't know. But Pete, man, I just wanted to say it is good to have you back with us. You know, I even wrote in the chat. I said our ace is back. You know, we
I
did
saw
miss you,
that,
brother.
man.
Yeah,
Man,
we
I
did
miss
miss
I
you.
miss coming through, bro. I love you guys, man.
Absolutely. Love you too, brother. And you know, we hadn't had a chance to really talk. I had been busy myself, and I got a lot of stuff just going on. I don't really talk on. You know, you all know how I am. So every now and then I'll get a chance to get in a party online and stuff like that. But in general, we just hadn't had a chance to really talk like we usually do. So you know, I just know you've been going through it, brother, and you know, all love to you, man. And I know it's trying and it's hard to go through losses. I just hate losses. Honestly, I do. Just from family that I've lost and things like that. My brother, my cousins, my grandmother. You know, it's just tough to lose those things and people you love. You know what I mean? And I know that Jedi meant the world to you. So all love to you, and you know, and I'm hoping that your healing is swift.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man.
No doubt, brother. And Cutie, I know that you mentioned that you're going through some things as well, and all of us are in a way. So all love to you too, and I hope that you pull out of that on top. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. Nah,
Of
yeah,
course.
we've all got our stuff that we're going
Mhm.
through. But yeah,
Wait,
like I'm finding
he just-
myself.
Did he just say on top?
Yeah, when I said it, when I said it, I knew somebody was going to say something to it. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, I just the next night okay, so my doctor hasn't cleared me to go back to work. So I'm facing the next 9 weeks having to take leave without pay, and it's just really
Yeah.
getting me down. And it's my birthday next Saturday. So
Oh!
we gotta celebrate with you a little bit.
yeah.
We all get our drinks.
So yeah, just I don't know. It's just feeling a bit meh, everything. So
We'll get in a party and all of us have our alcohol and get drunk while we play games and laugh and sing. How about
oh,
that?
please
But
don't sing.
oh, what?
Because you'll
You
never
know
stop.
what?
He'll never stop. He'll just keep going.
If you start it up, no. But yeah, you know, outside of that, and all love to the chat. I just want to say, and love to King David. I know he had to go. He's like me where he works overnight. Fortunately for me, this show coincides on my off day, so it is what it is. But I definitely understand having to work overnight. It's just tough. And but much love to him for showing up for us. Also being off camera because you know King David prefers to be on camera for his own reasons and things like that. So he did us a solid by joining us tonight. And it was a really good discussion. That was a really good talk right there. I enjoyed this episode a lot personally, especially since King David agreed with me when Riskit tried to sabotage and jump in with that little topic. I don't know.
That
It
was
worked out in my
surprising.
yeah. I'm glad it went my way, but. You know, all love to the chat, though. Thank you all for holding us down. You all can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. And if you have not yet subscribed to the Fix and got in the mix, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it anymore. just join us over there. You can find me here right now. Matter of fact, let me send my link into the chat. Join here if you haven't yet, and subscribe to it, brother, and show me some love over there as well. Myself and Daniel McGee, we go live on Thursdays at 8:00 Eastern, and don't listen to Bushido. He's only saying that because he's only saying that because I refuse to bring him to it. So yeah, I refuse to bring him to the show, so he's gonna keep slandering it, or libel, I guess, since he wrote it. But yeah, if you all could please subscribe to it, brother, I would appreciate it. If anything, we're almost up to 1,000 already. We're like 910 or something like that. So a lot of you all have held us down already. So thank you for those who have. And man, back to Jedi Survivor for me too, Pete. I got myself on Do Not Disturb, so you all gonna have to hit me up in the DM on Twitter or something for me to see this. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm going to be exactly the same way. And I'll definitely shout out everyone on the panel. You guys are amazing every week coming through and supporting the show. And the chat, you guys as well coming through. We're growing every week, and it's great to see new faces, old faces, the guys who supported us from day one. What's not great to see, and I'm a little bit disappointed in you, chat, I have to say, I'm going to end this poll because unfortunately, it seems as if everyone wants Microsoft to acquire the world. It's all right, because I will make sure that you guys are safe and supported, in the industry can hold you up by going out there and speaking truths. What I'll do with you, everyone knows what I'll be doing this week. This week I'll have my feet up because I've got a bit of a foot issue, got a staph infection, so it's itchy and painful. So my feet will be up, and I'll be playing Jedi Survivor on Do Not Disturb as well. So if you want to hit me up in the DMs. My link's down the bottom. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you all next week.
Peace.